intercostalis internus.
So that would be the muscle between the ribs. So these muscles right here will be the intercostalis internus. Okay.
Transversus thoracis.
So that would be the dark colored muscle right here on this side and here on this side. Transversus thoracis.
Diaphragm.
This muscular flap is the diaphragm.
Caval fold.
Okay, caval fold is a fold below the heart. So this region was the caval fold, and only one part of the membrane or the pleura exists here. So it's kind of a fold here inside which you have the accessory lobe of the lung. Okay, so this part is the caval fold.
Lung.
Okay, so these are the lobes of the lungs. Right side, sorry, left side, right side. You have anterior, medial, posterior on the left, anterior, medial, and posterior on the right side, and in between everything you have the accessory lobe. Okay.
Primary bronchus.
All right. Primary bronchus would be part of the trachea that goes into the lungs. So here, this little white part would be the primary bronchus.
Secondary bronchus.
All right. We are not able to see secondary bronchus here, but it's always inside the lobes. So if you see that the lung tissues has been dug up and there is branching of the primary bronchus, that's the secondary bronchus, and it's always inside. Okay. Yeah. So in order to show secondary bronchus, I'd have to like eat away the tissues, which we have not done here.
Of a lobe.
Huh?
The tissues of a specific lobe. Or one lobe.
No, the easiest way to see it is in the medial lobe, in cats, at least in cats. So here, if you dig this part up, you'll be able to see some branching. Usually it's not visible, so we stick to this primary. Okay, yeah.
Parietal pleura.
All right, so these membranes right here, not the muscle, but this layer is the parietal pleura. Okay, it surrounds the entire thoracic cavity. That's the parietal pleura, and whatever was there on the lungs, that would be the visceral pleura. Okay, yeah.
Trachea.
So okay, this part is the trachea right here,
Larynx.
and larynx would be towards the head. The swollen part right here is the larynx. Okay, yeah.
Heart.
That's the heart. So yeah, heart, and go ahead.
Parietal pericardium.
Okay, so this structure that kind of covered the heart was the parietal pericardium. Whatever was on the heart was visceral pericardium, and the gap between the two was the pericardial cavity. Okay. Yeah.
Pulmonary trunk.
All right, pulmonary trunk. So this oblique structure here is the pulmonary trunk, and it kind of leads into the pulmonary artery. Okay.
Apex.
Okay, this part is the apex. Rest of the structures after that is something that you have to see on the sheep heart. So either the sheep heart, or use the textbook, or the model there. Okay? So all those structures are not visible. What you can see here is the apex. This is the right auricle outside, and this is the left auricle on the outside. Yeah. Everything else, the little ones are inside. Okay, or in the sheep heart. Sorry. Yeah. So we'll skip that part, and we'll go to the vasculature. Yes.
Aorta.
All right. So right next to the pulmonary trunk, so you see this blood vessel right here. This is the aortic arch, part of the aorta. It goes down as the dorsal aorta or the descending aorta. Okay. Yeah.
Pulmonary artery.
Pulmonary artery is not seen here. Huh? Okay. So pulmonary artery is entering into the pulmonary trunk here. Okay, so it will be more easily visible. Pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein will be visible in the sheep heart and the model. And the key to find pulmonary vein is there will be like 3 or 4 gaps, vessels entering into the back. So you can see that on that model right there. Okay. Yeah.
Right brachiocephalic vein.
Okay, brachiocephalic vein. Okay, so, wait, aren't we going in order? Aorta, pulmonary artery. Okay, we'll finish this part.
Okay.
And then artery first, okay?
Brachiocephalic artery.
Okay, so the first branching of the aorta is the brachiocephalic artery. Okay, this one.
Right subclavian artery.
All right. So, and the first branching of the brachiocephalic artery here, this part is the subclavian artery, right? The right subclavian artery. Yeah.
Right common carotid artery.
Yeah. So the next two branches would be the right and left common carotid artery. Okay. Yeah.
Left subclavian artery.
Okay, so now you go back to the aorta, and the second branch of the aorta will be left subclavian artery. Okay, yeah.
Right brachiocephalic vein.
So you this structure is the anterior vena cava, and it branches into the brachiocephalic veins. Okay, so you have the left brachiocephalic vein and the right brachiocephalic vein.
Azygos vein.
So azygos vein is at the back of the lungs. It's right here. So this is the azygos vein.
Pulmonary vein.
Pulmonary vein you cannot see in the cat. It kind of enters the heart from the behind. Okay. Yeah.
Right external jugular vein.
Okay. So that would be the subdivisions of the brachiocephalic veins. So brachiocephalic vein, and it divides into the external jugular vein on each side, left and right. Okay.
Celiac artery.
All right, celiac artery, you follow the dorsal aorta down. So the dorsal aorta goes down from here, enters into the abdominal cavity, and the first branching would be the celiac artery here. So the first branching in the abdominal region of the dorsal aorta would be celiac artery. Okay, this one.
Cranial mesenteric artery.
Okay, that's the second branch. So this one is the cranial mesenteric artery.
Renal artery.
Renal artery goes into the kidney. So this is the renal artery right here.
Caudal mesenteric artery.
Okay, so you follow the dorsal aorta further down, and you will see this artery going from the dorsal aorta into the large intestine, descending colon. So this is the caudal mesenteric artery.
External iliac artery.
Okay, so that's the last branch that we are seeing here. So dorsal aorta here branches into external iliac artery, right and left. And the second branch that you see here are the internal iliac arteries. It's not in the list, but because it is visible here, I wanted to show you. So external and internal.
Posterior vena cava.
That's this big blue vein that comes from the heart, goes into the heart. This is the posterior vena cava.
Renal vein.
And the vein that comes out from the kidney is the renal vein. This one.
Hepatic portal vein.
Okay, so that's near the duodenum. So this, in some cats, it will be yellow in color. So this is the hepatic portal vein, right? I think in some of your cats it is yellow in color and more visible than this one. So this is the hepatic portal vein. Okay.
Cranial mesenteric vein.
Okay, cranial mesenteric vein, caudal mesenteric vein, and gastrosplenic vein. You can ignore that one. So those three on the board, you can ignore those three. Okay.
Esophagus.
Okay, so that's the food pipe. You can see it at multiple places. Here you can clearly see the food pipe here. It's like a muscular structure behind the trachea. Here, sometimes you'll be able to see it near the dorsal aorta in this region, and sometimes you'll be able to see it depending upon the cat. This part that goes into the stomach is also the esophagus, the food pipe. Okay, this one right here.
Stomach.
So this is the stomach. You have three parts to it. The main body is called the fundus. Towards the esophagus, this is the cardiac stomach, and the last part that goes into the intestine, this region is the pyloric stomach.
Liver.
Okay, liver. are all these lobes. What you have to know the names of the lobes. So at the bottom you have the caudate lobe. This one and this tiny one. These two are the caudate lobes. Okay. Then you have the right lateral lobe, right medial lobe, quadrate lobe, left medial, and left lateral. Okay. Yeah.
Hepatic duct.
Okay. Hepatic duct. There are like 3 hepatic ducts that come out of the liver. It's not always visible. We are usually able to see only one of them. So here, this is one hepatic duct. Okay. This is one hepatic duct. So always look for the question. Is the question a duct or a vein or a blood vessel or a ligament or something? Okay. So always look at the question for this region. So if we point a pin here and say identify the duct, it will either be a hepatic duct or a cystic duct.
Round ligament.
Round ligament is it's between the diaphragm and the liver. So this ligament right here is the round ligament. Okay. I forgot to show the previous group. You could tell them it's not in the list, but the transparent part behind the round ligament, this region is the falciform ligament. FALCIFORM. Okay. Falciform, and the white part here is the round ligament.
The white part is around ligament.
Yes. Yes.
Gallbladder.
All right. Gallbladder. It's near your quadrate lobe. This structure here is the gallbladder. Yeah.
Cystic duct.
Cystic duct is the duct that comes out of the gallbladder. So this is the cystic duct.
Common bile duct.
Common bile duct it kind of comes out from the cystic duct and goes into the duodenum. So this would be the common bile duct right here.
Pancreas.
All right. So duodenum again, it's kind of attached to the duodenum. This fleshy part here is all pancreas. Okay.
Greater omentum.
So that would be all these structures. This will be the greater omentum.
The lesser.
And the lesser would be at the base of the liver lobes here. But what you have to know about the lesser omentum is there are 2 ligaments. One that goes from the stomach to the liver. This part is the gastrohepatic ligament. And the other part that goes from the duodenum to the liver, this part is the hepatoduodenal ligament. So liver to stomach, gastrohepatic, liver to duodenum, hepatoduodenal. Okay.
Mesentery.
Those are these thin membranous structures inside the small intestine. So all these are mesentery.
Small intestines.
Small intestines. The first part is duodenum. So the stomach. Anywhere else on the curved part is jejunum. But if you're able to see the large ascending colon, the small intestine that goes into the ascending colon is the ileum. Okay, so ileum, jejunum, and duodenum. Okay, 3 parts of the small intestine.
Large intestines or colon.
Okay, so 3 parts of the large intestine: descending colon, transverse colon, and ascending colon. So ascending colon is where the ileum goes in, and it also has this. It's sort of like a dead end of the large intestine. That's the cecum. Okay.
Okay. Anus.
Anus will be at the end of the large intestine right here. The anus should be below the tail.
Spleen.
Okay, so this is the spleen.
Kidney.
Okay, kidneys are right here. This outer layer is called the renal capsule. Okay, this outer membrane that we have taken off. This is the renal capsule. Okay, then you make a cross section. This light colored part is the renal cortex. The inside part is the renal medulla, and this is the renal papilla. The small ridge here is the renal papilla.
Ureter.
Ureter is the tube that comes out from the kidney and goes into the urinary bladder.
Yeah, urinary bladder,
Okay, so this is the urinary bladder right here.
urethra,
Its urethra is not visible in this cat, or so you can ignore the urethra.
ovaries,
That would be the female cat, so
Uterus.
we can show that.
testis,
Okay, so male cat. So these will be the testis right here.
epididymis,
So the tube that surrounds the testis, this would be the epididymis. Okay, so it's here epididymis. It kind of goes up, and it forms into the vas deferens. So the vas deferens is kind of arising out of the epididymis and kind of goes back into the urethra. So the urethra ideally should be somewhere here, but it's not visible. It should be somewhere here underneath.
So it won't be on our test.
No, I have not been able to see a urethra here. Maybe a bonus question, but no.
Okay.